It's Monday, July 6th, and this is now on H&N.
I am concerned that because of people getting together over the July 4th weekend, we could see a surge 8 to 10 days from now.
The state sees a spike in cases amid growing concerns about community spread.
We need to be assured by the committee that's putting all this together that everything is in place to protect us.
A Waipahu Summer Fund employee tests positive for the virus, while the city thinks the program is still safe.
The news is not particularly good.
Despite rising cases of COVID-19, many Americans gathered over the holiday weekend and ignored social distancing rules. I'm Chris Martinez with the states now seeing spikes in cases.
As the country reopens, concern about the spread of the coronavirus is growing on the streets. I'm Elise Preston with a look at how the nation's homeless are trying to stay safe.
These stories, plus just how much has changed in the water while the tourists have been away, coming up on This Is Now.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for watching This Is Now on this Monday. I'm Jonathan, your director, alongside Ashley, who has the very latest numbers from the Department of Health for us.
Hey everyone, health officials are reporting 7 new COVID-19 cases today. We're told 6 are patients on Oahu and 1 is on the Big Island. The statewide total now stands at 1,030, with more than 75% of patients released from isolation. Meanwhile, Honolulu Mayor Kirk Caldwell says he is concerned about tourism reopening in just a few weeks from now.
What's it look like when we open the visitors? Does that mean we're up at 75 cases, 80 cases, 100 cases, and it becomes concerning? So we need to be assured by the committee that's putting all this together that everything is in place to protect us. And then we also need to be absolutely assured that the Department of Health has the capacity to do the testing required, and more importantly, to contact trace everyone who has come into contact with someone who's tested positive. And we don't know there's more clusters occurring. And they need to find out in those clusters who they came into contact with and assure all of us that they got it well in hand. And if they do, I think you can stick with the August 1st deadline. But there's a lot that needs to happen between now and August 1st.
Meanwhile, summer fun at Ho'ai'ai Community Park in Waipahu will go on as scheduled today, despite a worker testing positive. The city says the woman was a program administrator and wore face coverings and gloves. We're told all of the children were wearing masks, and the employee kept a log of the people she came into contact with. Mayor Caldwell explained why the city felt the program was still safe.
My initial reaction was to shut down the program, and then talking to our state physician, our city physician, Dr. Mori, the recommendation was made that it was not necessary, that this park personnel person was wearing face coverings, sometimes face shields, latex gloves, and really practicing all the protocols, and that the potential spread was minimal. And so we're following, again, the advice of our physician. Although, I'm not a physician, my reaction was to be very cautious. So we're going to see what happens. Now, we've asked everyone from our park personnel, but more importantly, our keiki and the parents of our keiki, if they feel sick in any way or concerned, to please go to one of our community health centers and get tested.
The Department of Education has released its guidelines on how to reopen schools. We talked about this with the school superintendent, Christina Kishimoto, this morning on Sunrise.
And everything we've heard up until this point has been 6 feet, whether it's federal or state officials, it's 6 feet, 6 feet. What is the reasoning to switching to 3 feet spacing within the schools?
So it's not that we're switching to 3 feet. Overall, we're using 6 feet as our guidance, but whether you're looking at the Academy of Pediatrics, which is a national organization, whether you're looking at CDC and their general guidance about using multiple factors to keep kids safe and keep community safe, or you look our own DOH guidance, they give us a leeway of 3 to 6 feet as general good guidance. Overall, we've been used to hearing 6 feet. We are still designing around 6 feet of space. That 3 feet does give us the option as we reopen and have greater demand for in-school instruction to look at whether that's viable. There's been no communication from me saying that we're starting out with 3 feet of space.
Meanwhile, the state is still planning to reopen tourism with a pre-travel testing program starting August 1st. The state reported 2,099 people arrived in Hawaii Saturday. The arrivals include 687 visitors and 607 residents. Everyone will still be required to self-quarantine unless they receive an exemption.
Airline travel seems to be ramping up across the country as U.S. airports reported new pandemic-era highs over the 4th of July weekend. The Transportation Security Administration said it screened more than 700,000 passengers for 3 days in a row this weekend. That's the first time above 700,000 since mid-March. The weekend was also the first since April when American Airlines began selling its flights at full capacity. United Airlines has also been packing planes. Both airlines say they are warning passengers that flights could be full, and they are allowing travelers to rebook without a fee. The U.S. has more than 2.8 million coronavirus cases with at least 4 major hotspots: California, Florida, Texas, and Arizona. Chris Martinez has the latest.
Partygoers packed a 4th of July celebration in Cass County, Michigan, despite calls for social distancing and mask wearing. People also flocked to beaches across San Diego.
Humans aren't supposed to be locked up for forever. It's a weekend to celebrate, so here we are.
In Miami, beaches were closed as the state doubled its infections in just 2 weeks.
Unfortunately, we're seeing more and more people be hospitalized, younger people be hospitalized. We lost a very young person, very young boy. This weekend, we also lost a 40-year-old.
Florida now has 200,000 confirmed cases and more than 3,700 deaths. Many California beaches were also closed as hospitalizations continue to climb. LA is at level orange, which means a high risk of infection. Residents are being urged to stay home as much as possible. Hospitalizations are also spiking in Arizona.
Given the numbers we're looking at, because we will get to a point where we have to start, looking at those god-awful rules about who not to put into the ICU and such.
And in Houston, people lined up in their cars for hours to get tested for the virus. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
New today, the FDA approved emergency authorization for a fast, on-site coronavirus antigen test. The diagnostic swab test can yield results in 15 minutes. According to the manufacturer, the test analyzes samples with a device a little larger than a cell phone. Now, this is not designed for human use. Officials see this test as a potentially valuable screening tool to quickly test large amounts of people who may have already had the virus. According to a government count, more than 500,000 Americans are experiencing homelessness. They face a whole new set of challenges when the pandemic hit. Elise Preston takes a closer look at what communities are doing to help.
While most New Yorkers are just now venturing out into the city, Lala Moreno has been sleeping on the streets for months during the coronavirus pandemic, living with a compromised immune system.
I'm scared that one moment something bad can happen to my immune system and I could just crash.
But Moreno still feels safer spending the night on this tiny stretch of a sidewalk than in a dormitory-style shelter. The advocacy group Coalition for the Homeless says the coronavirus death rate for New Yorkers in shelters is 61% higher compared to New Yorkers with homes. The organization also says unsheltered homeless may face an even greater risk of dying, and many groups that provide help are temporarily shut down or are not able to operate normally. Doctors Without Borders teamed up with the Salvation Army here in New York City to offer showers to those in need. Organizations across the country are getting creative in an effort to safely provide resources like showers, meals, and places for people to sleep during the pandemic.
A few people have told me that this is the first shower they had in like 2 or 3 weeks.
That's both heartbreaking and heartwarming at the same time.
Yeah, it feels good to be able to provide it, but really we shouldn't have gotten there.
Officials in New York, Houston, and Los Angeles secured hotel rooms for some homeless residents. San Francisco has designated safe sleeping sites open-air encampments that encourage social distancing. And in Atlanta, Georgia, the Lost and Found Youth Shelter added extra staff to keep the facility sanitized. The shelter, like many across the country, spaced out beds to keep people as far away from each other as possible.
We're allowing everybody to stay and not asking anybody to leave unless they get into another more long-term program or find a permanent place to stay.
Back under this New York City scaffolding,
I'm still alive. I'm still breathing.
Moreno is focused on the here and now and cautiously optimistic about what tomorrow might bring. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
Country music star Charlie Daniels, who had a hit with The Devil Went Down to Georgia, has died at age 83. A statement from his publicist said the Country Music Hall of Famer died today due to a stroke. Daniels, a singer, guitarist, fiddler, and Grand Ole Opry alumnus, was born in North Carolina and moved to Nashville, where he also played on records with music titans Bob Dylan, Leonard Cohen, and Ringo Starr. Broadway actor Nick Cordero has died after a months-long battle with COVID-19. The 41-year-old contracted the virus in March and suffered from severe complications. He was put in a medically induced coma and had his right leg amputated. His wife revealed that he died yesterday, although she did not cite the exact cause. At 6'5", Cordero specialized in playing tough guys on Broadway. He leaves behind a wife and a 1-year-old son. Airlines are rethinking their whole networks as most flights are grounded. Howard Dicus has more.
American Airlines says it expects to offer 25% less international capacity next year than last year. This is the first open acknowledgement that major airlines are planning that far ahead. Customs agents have seized $5 million worth of Gucci and other counterfeit stuff at the port of Long Beach. It came from China. China prepares for the next outbreak as nations set up new factories to make medical protective gear. China is doing it too and providing free land and subsidies, so its factories are less likely to close later when others do.
Developing right now, tensions are heating up in the South China Sea after 2 U.S. Navy aircraft carriers entered the region for the first time in 6 years. It's Washington's latest show of military might against China's claims of the contested region. The USS Nimitz and the USS Ronald Reagan conducted several exercises over the Independence Day weekend. At the same time, China wrapped up their own drills near a disputed parcel of islands. Beijing is responding, calling the U.S. presence destabilizing. This next story certainly has implications here. Italy's Coast Guard taking a closer look at the Mediterranean Sea and just how much things have changed since tourists have been away. Ian Lee has more in today's Talker.
For marine life, it's home. For researchers, it's an opportunity. The months of the lockdown have given marine biologists unprecedented access to the sea. Divers with the Italian Coast Guard are collecting water samples before the summer crowds return. The lockdown represented a unique opportunity to evaluate human impact, diver Alessandro Mino says, to evaluate how marine life regained spaces that human activity had eroded. In addition to water samples, he and other divers filmed underwater footage and conducted a census of marine life. While the official results aren't available yet, researchers confirmed the waters around Italy are visibly cleaner and clearer than before the lockdown. With people forced to stay at home, marine life began moving closer to shore, with jumping dolphins replacing container ships, and near Sicily, a pod of sperm whales silently swims where once roaring motorboats raced. But officials fear the improvements could be short-lived. Once the lockdown lifts, COVID waste, those masks and empty bottles of hand sanitizer, could find their way to the seas. This beauty has been given to us on loan, he says, and we must preserve it and give it to our children. Lessons from the lockdown for a future generation. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
All right, thank you, Ian, for that report. And we're seeing some things like this happening around here as well. I saw a monk seal on Waikiki Beach last week. Not totally uncommon, but sort of rare. It doesn't usually come when there's a lot of people around. And I know there's researchers doing very similar studies here just to see how our oceans will adapt to less people.
Also those turtles at Bellows Beach as well.
Oh, yeah. Would that happen if all the people were around? Probably not. All right, we got some developing news just into our newsroom. Ashley, what did we just post on our H&N digital platforms?
Right, on hawaiinewsnow.com right now, you can find this story. So the September 12th matchup between the UH Rainbow Warriors football team and the Fordham Rams has been canceled. A Rams spokesman confirmed the news, and he even said their team's first 3 games have already been canceled. UH officials, though, have not commented at this time.
I heard the trade winds are coming back on. It was a hot holiday weekend.
It was, with some rain.
Yeah. I hit a social distancing get-together just under, I think there were 7 people there, and the house host even sent out rules ahead of time saying, wear your mask, keep this far apart. I know you went to the beach and played some volleyball, but kept some space too.
Yeah, it was crowded, but definitely not your usual 4th of July weekend.
All right, let's check out what's looking like outside right now as we look at Diamond Head. The time is 12:15. Here is Guy Hoggy with your forecast.
How's it on this Monday? Here's your HawaiiNewsNow.com forecast. We have just a few windward and Mauka showers this morning. Upstream moisture is minimal, so we'll see lots of sunshine, fairly dry conditions today, maybe some overnight showers tonight in through tomorrow morning. And then those trade winds step in on the gas. They'll be getting stronger today. That will lead to lower humidity levels than what we've seen over the last couple of days, except, of course, for over in Kona, where they'll get Kona winds and higher than normal humidity levels. So across the state, we'll have similar conditions. Nice steady trade winds, a few windward and Mauka showers tonight. Other than that, we'll see mostly dry conditions. High temperatures running to about 90 degrees. That's right, summer is in full swing. Although the surf is kind of backing off today, we're expecting small waves island-wide, although a minor boost is due into South Shores, maybe down to the west side, but that's not until sometime tomorrow in through Wednesday, and the UV index is at 12 today. And we're expecting that UV index to stay elevated over the next few days. So trade winds picking up speed today, slightly stronger tomorrow, stronger again on Wednesday through Friday. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
The internet is always a buzz, but here's what it's talking about right now from the feeds, folks.
So Uber is making some moves to expand its food delivery service. The company bought Postmates. Have you heard of Postmates before?
I really haven't.
Me neither.
No.
Yeah,
but it must be a mainland thing.
It's another food delivery service. So Uber recently bought Postmates. They wanted to buy Grubhub a few weeks ago, but they lost its bid to a Netherlands-based company. However, Uber announced today it made a deal to buy Postmates for more than $2.6 billion in an all-stock deal. Now, in a statement, Uber called the company a highly complementary service to Uber Eats, its own meal delivery service, and Uber Eats has been viewed as a bright spot for the company, especially as more people are ordering to-go and delivery during the pandemic.
More and more options to feed me. I like that. All right, Gmail users, watch out, because right now the company says some not so safe work email content could end up directly in your inbox.
No.
You don't want these emails. Users are reporting widespread problems with the email server spam filters. Google has responded to the recent issues, saying it was part of a larger spam flaw. All this, I said spam, and I'm still thinking about food. But the company says the problem has been resolved. So if you saw those in there, not supposed to be there, that's why.
Yikes. And Hamilton gave Disney Plus downloads a big boost over the weekend. From Friday through Sunday, the app was downloaded more than 513,000 times. That's a 46% increase over the average 4 weekends last month. The film version of the hit Broadway musical premiered on Friday.
And you said you were going to watch it this weekend.
I did, but I didn't because our colleague Ian Shuring got me hooked on this new Netflix series called Dark, and I just couldn't turn away from it.
I want to be honest, I tried to watch Hamilton twice and maybe made it 5 minutes in, and I do like musicals most of the time, and even historic musicals, but I just couldn't get into it.
Jonathan fell asleep.
I know. I was just sleepy guy here. All right, guys, we got some good news to get to, right?
Right. Another thing locals are missing this year is the Obon Festival season. And with most Bon dance events canceled, a big island temple has found a way to keep the tradition going. Here's Lisa Kubota.
Members of Puna Hongwanji's Obon Committee were disappointed once they realized that the community wouldn't be able to gather as usual this summer.
It was like a huge gaping like emptiness in your soul that you can't have obon. It's such a huge thing here at our community and at our temples.
They decided to put together a virtual bon dance, which turned out to be a huge endeavor. Besides featuring favorites like Tankobushi, the event included a new song about the pandemic called Genki Ondo, or Healthy Dance, commissioned by the minister. The choreographer came up with different motions.
So it was stuff like, social distancing, wave hi to your friend from far away. And then it was like put on your mask and work on the computer and do the paperwork.
A small group of socially distanced dancers took part in a taping at Punahongwanji on Monday. The online event allowed taiko drummers from Oahu and even the West Coast to get involved. The Obon committee had hoped to serve takeout bentos, but they weren't able to make the arrangements in time.
Obon, aside from the religious side of it, the spiritual side of it, it's about food, it's about the music and the dancing, and it's about fellowship. So that was kind of our attempt to at least get 2 out of the 3.
The virtual bon dance took place on Friday and Saturday, with people able to join in on Zoom.
To see people dancing in the living room and having fun, how they could, that was great. That made it all worthwhile.
Punahongwanji put its new song on social media for other temples to use. The group may continue to offer a virtual element next summer, even if they're able to gather in person again. Lisa Kubota, Hawaii News Now.
Looked fun still.
I miss those bon dances and the food. Need my andagi somewhere.
Oh yeah.
More good news. Lamborghini is coming out with a luxury yacht inspired by one of its supercars. The Lamborghini 63 is expected to cost about $3.4 million when it comes out next year. It will be powered by 2 V12 engines, producing a total of 4,000 horsepower.
Look at that thing. It's like that Bat boat or something. That is so cool.
It's like a James Bond.
Totally. It's got to be in the new James Bond
Angels.
movie. It should be, if not. All right, guys, that's going to do it for This Is Now on this Monday. Wanted to leave you on a very positive note. We got this new series on the digital platforms called Virtually Live. We've teamed up with Blue Note. Let me play some of that out for you. This one we gave a little bit of a tribute to those in our armed services.
Aloha and welcome to a virtually live performance by the U.S. Air Force Band of the Pacific, Papana Jazz Ensemble. I'm just a fool in the rain. Grab your coat and snatch your hat. Leave your worries on your doorstep. Just direct your feet to the sunny side of the street. Can't you hear that pitter pat? And the happy tune is your step. Life can be so sweet on the sunny side of the street. I used to walk in the shade with those blue